How are you? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I hope everyone is doing well, having fun, enjoying with your friends and families, especially with your families. Happy Sunday to all. And maybe you're already on Monday, so happy Monday to other people around the world. Today is January 7th here, Sunday, 2024. All right. And we are talking again about boxing. And as the title says, the pound for pound supremacy fights in boxing history. Okay. So the reason why I made this video live is because of this consistent news or articles about who should be the pound for pound number one, the best in the world, and also who should be the fighter of the year 2023. Who deserves most? Okay, who deserves most? Who is worthy to be named as pound for pound the best in the world, all right, or the fighter of the year 2023. Okay, so because of that, we are still waiting for one major boxing organization, and that is the BWAA. Okay, Boxing Writers Association of America. A week or 2 weeks from now, I am expecting to see and read the result and their the awards, the awardees for the fighter of the year, trainer of the year, and manager of the year, promoter of the year, upset of the year, knocked out of the year, and so on and so forth. So, Boxing Writers Association of America. Now, okay, to be specific for the boxing supremacy or supremacy fights in boxing history, I will give you 4 examples, okay? 4 examples. The first one it happened 1981, okay? In 1981. That was 43 years ago, okay? 1981. Okay, during that time, there is a big event in boxing, okay? A huge boxing event. And there is 2 big event, okay? A very important event. A lot of actions, a lot of drama, and also with a historical significance, okay? There is a historical significance for that 1981 boxing supremacy fights 2, okay? The first one, it was the fight between Salvador Sanchez versus Wilfredo Gomez, okay? A featherweight championships, okay? A world championship in the featherweight, 126 pounds. And by the way, Salvador Sanchez was or is still one of the greatest all-time greats in boxing, and I rate him or ranked him as the greatest featherweight, okay, fighter ever, okay, if not the number second or number 2 greatest featherweight, 126 pounds fighter in the world. Okay? So, he beat Wilfredo Gomez by a knockout. Technical knockout in the 8th round. Okay? It was 8th round technical knockout um, win for Salvador Sanchez over a fellow Hall of Famer, a fellow boxing legend, Wilfredo Gomez. Salvador Sanchez was a Mexican legend, a Hall of Famer, while Wilfredo Gomez was a Puerto Rican boxing legend, a Hall of Famer as well. Okay, and they were fighting for the featherweight crown. Featherweight crown, okay? The very best in 126 pounds. Alright. And then on the same year, okay, same year, another big fight, another big event. It was the fight between Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns. Tommy Hearns. Tommy the Hitman Hearns. Okay. And the result was a 14th round technical knockout win by Ray Leonard. Okay. Sugar Ray Leonard stopped or TKO'd Tommy Hitman Hearns in the 14th round. And it was also a candidate for Fight of the Year. Okay, it was a candidate for Fight of the Year. It was a very, very exciting, full of action, drama, and historical significance because the winner of that fight, which is Ray Leonard, became the undisputed welterweight champion. During that time, 1981, there were only two belts, WBA and WBC. That time, they were fighting for the WBA and WBC. Both of them are champions and both of them are undefeated. That's why it was a very big event. Okay, it is a similar of last year, July, the fight between Errol Spence Jr., then unified WBC, WBA, and IBF welterweight champion versus fellow undefeated and WBO 147 pounds champion Terence Bud Crawford. And they are fighting for the undisputed crown for the very best at welterweight, 147 pounds. Alright? So, that was happened in 1981. And because of that, the Ring magazine, after the very end, the very end of 1981, the Ring magazine awarded the Fighter of the Year. Okay, the Ring magazine awarded the Ring Fighter of the Year two names. One is Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Leonard, and the other one is Salvador Sanchez. So the Ring magazine awarded two boxers or fighters to be Fighter of the Year 1981. Okay, that's for the Ring magazine. Okay, and then for the Boxing Writers Association of America, BWAA, they only awarded Ray Leonard, okay, Sugar Ray Leonard, for the Fighter of the Year. Salvador Sanchez was one of their nominee, okay, one of the nominee. But for the BWAA, Boxing Writers Association of America, they gave the award for Fighter of the Year to Sugar Ray Leonard. But the Ring magazine, they awarded two names, Salvador Sanchez and Sugar Ray Leonard, okay, 1981. Those are one of the supremacy fights in boxing history. Second is during 1993. Okay, 1993. That's the time during the Gulf War or Operation Desert Storm or Operation Desert Shield. Okay, if you still remember, If you are in the military, United States military, if you're a member of the United States Armed Forces, during those times, Gulf War, 1990, early 1990s, that was during the Operation Desert Storm slash Operation Desert Shield. So in 1993, the other fight was between Michael Carbajal versus Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. Okay? Michael Carbajal versus Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. It was one of the candidate for Fight of the Year, if not the Fight of the Year, 1993. It was full of slugfest, tactics, ring IQ, back and forth, dramas, action inside the ring. And of course, it was a historical significance. Michael Carbajal versus Chiquita Gonzalez, Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. Okay, and the result was a 7th round knockout. Okay, 7th round knockout. Win by Michael Carbajal. A typical Mexican brawl, Mexican-American brawl. If you put two Mexican American in the ring, they will be fighting with full of heart, full of courage, full of warrior mentality, right? That's credit to the Mexican warriors, Mexican American warriors. Okay, and on the same year, okay, the same year, 1993, there is another big fight, a big event, full of action, drama, and historical significance. And that fight was between El Gran Campeón Mexicano, the Grand Mexican Champion, Julio Cesar Chavez, of course the senior, versus Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. As you remember, both of these fighters, Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Whitaker, was once a pound-for-pound #1 best fighter in the world, right? Julio Cesar Chavez versus Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. And the result was a controversial draw. It was a controversial draw. And many boxing experts and boxing historians, boxing writers, wrote that it should have been a Pernell Whitaker win. Alright, and I agree with the boxing historians, boxing writers, okay, that Julio Cesar Chavez should have get a loss, or he lost that fight against Pernell Whitaker. Okay, so that's in 1993, and because of that, okay, because of that, the Ring Magazine, okay, the Bible of Boxing, Ring Magazine, awarded the Fighter of the Year, okay, the Fighter of the Year for that 1993 Ring Magazine was Michael Carbajal, okay, Michael Carbajal, the Mexican or the Mexican-American warrior. But for the Boxing Writers Associations of America, BWAA, they awarded the Fighter of the Year in favor of Pernell Whitaker, the Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker. Now you see the difference. In 1993, the Ring Magazine awarded the Fighter of the Year for Michael Carbajal, Mexican-American, but the Boxing Writers Association of America, BWAA, awarded the Fighter of the Year in favor to Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, an American. a black American to be exact. Okay, all right. Now for that pound for pound number one best fighter for the end of 1993. Okay, they gave it to Pernell Whitaker. They did not give it to Michael Carbajal, no, the number one pound for pound best fighter in 1993, the end of 1993. By the way, by the end of 1981, okay, end of 1981, though Ray Leonard and Salvador Sanchez was awarded as the fighter of the year. Okay, both of them, Salvador Sanchez and Ray Leonard, became a fighter of the year for the Ring magazine. Okay, for the Ring magazine, both of them, and for the Boxing Writers Association of America, only Sugar Ray Leonard was the fighter of the year for 1981. But the pound for pound, the best in the world, number one, not Sugar Ray Leonard, not Salvador Sanchez. It was Thomas Hitman Hearns. Tommy Hearns was the pound for pound, the best in the world in the end of 1981. Okay? So now you have a comparison already. Those supremacy fights in boxing history, pound for pound, that there is a differences. There is a differences. Not because you are the fighter of the year, you will become automatically as pound for pound number one. No. Okay? It is based on, aside from based on datas, records, career accomplishments, because it is subjective. Okay? Subjective. Uh, Due to number of votes, because they made it like a votation, like an election. So number of votes for those boxing writers or boxing historians included on those panel. Okay. Now the third year example. Okay. My third example year was the year of 2000. Year 2000. So that is a millennium. Okay, millennium year. Excuse me. Before the September 11 Twin Tower attacks, because it was held 2001, right? So 1 year prior, year 2000. There is a very big event, a big fight, big boxing match happened in the lower weight division. To be exact, is happened at 122 pounds, super bantamweight. And that fight was between Erik El Terrible Morales versus the babyface assassin Marco Antonio Barrera. Both are Mexican warriors with full of pride and honor, full of warrior spirit. Alright? Barrera versus Morales won. Okay, and of course, the result was a very close 12-round decision. Okay? It was a 12-round closed, very close decision win in favor of Erik Morales. And a lot of boxing writers, boxing experts or boxing historians wrote and said that it should have been a win in favor of Marco Antonio Barrera. And I would agree. The first fight should have been a win in favor of Marco Antonio Barrera. But it is what it is. The official result, the official record says Erik Morales beat Marco Antonio Barrera via a close 12-round decision. A very close fight, very close. Okay. And in the same year, okay, the same year 2000, there is another big event, a big fight. And that fight was between the Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya versus Sugar Shane Mosley. Okay, Sugar Shane Mosley. And you know the result. It was a very controversial, close 12-round decision. Okay. 12-round decision, and it was a very controversial. The decision was 12-round decision in favor to of Shane Mosley, then the undefeated WBC champion. Okay, so he beat De La Hoya for the WBC welterweight 147 pounds title, and because of that, Shane Mosley was awarded as um, the pound for pound number one best fighter in the world by the end of year 2000, of which I question it, because how come Shane Mosley overtake or overpass Felix Tito Trinidad as the number one pound for pound? Felix Trinidad has a better career accomplishment during year 2000. Remember, we are talking here about year 2000, 2000. And Felix Trinidad has a better win in over Shane Mosley. It should be Felix Trinidad, but it is what it is. Okay? They awarded the pound for pound number one best fighter in the end of 2000 to Shane Mosley. And by the way, the Ring Magazine, okay, both the Ring Magazine and also the Boxing Writers Association of America, both of them, this is the good news. They awarded the Fighter of the Year in favor to Felix Tito Trinidad of Puerto Rico. Right? So now you have another comparison, okay? Comparison. Not because you are the Fighter of the Year, you will be getting or having the pound for pound number one best fighter. Not necessarily. As I've said earlier, it is subjective. Though, we base it on data, we base it on facts and records, figures. But the Ring Magazine and also the Boxing Writers Association of America, even the ESPN, they have this panel of officers or board of officers that make a vote. Okay, they have this votation or election. Who are they favor to become a pound for pound number one best fighter? So, in the year of 2000, the Ring Magazine, the Bible of Boxing, and also the BWAA, the Boxing Writers Association of America, they give it to Felix Trinidad the Fighter of the Year award, while the pound for pound number one best fighter was Sugar Shane Mosley, okay, who beat Oscar De La Hoya that year. Okay, now the last example, the last year of example was last year, the year of 2023. Of course, as you have known, and as I posted on my previous live streaming, okay, last year happened one of the very best fight in the history of boxing, was the fight between Errol Spence Jr., then unified WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight, undefeated, versus the WBO welterweight champion, undefeated, Terence Bud Crawford. So Terence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr., they were fighting for the very best, for the lineal, okay, for the undisputed welterweight championship in the world, okay? And also they were fighting for the pound for pound number one, overtaking Naoya Inoue. Now we will go to Naoya Inoue. And before I will say about Naoya Inoue, the result was a ninth round technical knockout. A very dominant, a very convincing, a distraction win in favor of Terence Bud Crawford, and congratulations for the win, Terence Bud Crawford. Okay? And Bud Crawford, by that moment, he became the first male boxer, first male fighter to become a two-division undisputed champion. Okay? But 4 days before that fight, it 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 happened Saturday, but Tuesday, before Saturday, Naoya Inoue, the monster of Japan, fought then unified, undefeated WBC and WBO Super Bantamweight champion Stephen Fulton, the number one guy at 122. Okay, remember the number one guy at Super Bantamweight, undefeated, highly skilled. Okay, highly skilled, highly talented. He is not a robot. And I would say this again and again. Stephen Fulton is much or more talented, more skillful compared to Errol Spence Jr. Alright? And what happened to that fight? Of course, we have known that Naoya Inoue knocks out, okay, destroy Stephen Fulton, alright? For that fight that happened Tuesday. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence happened Saturday, okay? Only 4 days in between, okay? Only 4 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 nights. 4 nights separates their fight. When Naoya Inoue knocks out Stephen Fulton, okay, via 8-round stoppage, full of action, full of drama, and of course, historical significance because Naoya Inoue was coming up from 118 pounds and was then the undisputed bantamweight 118 pounds champion, and he moves up. When he moved up, he goes straight fight Stephen Fulton, the number one guy at 122 pounds, the unified undefeated WBC and WBO champion. Okay, so the Ring Magazine, right after that fight Tuesday, the Ring Magazine already made an article, a statement that awarding Naoya Inoue as their pound for pound number one best fighter in the world. Alright? But after the Saturday fight of Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr., the Ring Magazine changed it. They changed it. They made Terence Crawford as their number one pound for pound. The same with ESPN and other boxing websites. And I would agree because of the huge event, meaning the grandeur of the event. It was not majestic, but the preparation of the event, um, the crowd, the clamor, okay, the clamor of the boxing community, not just the the boxing purists or the boxing fanatics, but even those to the general public or the casual fans. Okay, so after that, Terence Crawford was inactive. Okay, inactive. But Naoya Inoue last month, December of 2023, December 26 to be specific, he fought and beat then unified IBF and WBA Super Bantamweight champion Marlon the Nightmare Tapales of the Philippines. And he became, okay, what to say this, he knocks out in round number 10. Okay, he destroyed, Naoya Inoue destroyed, dismantled, annihilated, and embarrasses Marlon Tapales in round number 10. He scored also a knockdown in round number 4. Okay. if there is a 10 or 15 seconds remaining on that round number 4, Naoya Inoue will stop Marlon Tapales in that round of number 4. It will not go more than round number 4. But it is what it is. The greatest ally of that moment of Marlon Tapales was the bell of the ring. Alright? So, in that 2023, Terence Crawford, only one fight, one win, one by a knockout. Okay? Terence Crawford, one win by a knockout and become an undisputed champion. While Naoya Inoue, 2 fights, 2 knockout wins, and became also undisputed champion. Okay? So, undisputed champion at welterweight for 1 fight for the whole year 2023 against 2 fights, 2 knockout wins, and undisputed champion at 122 pounds in 2023. That is one of the supremacy fights in boxing history that I can give you an example that when we compare, okay, the comparisons and similarities with other previous supremacy fights, there will always be questions to be answered, and there are answered to be questioned. Okay? Remember that, because as we all know, if you don't know yet, the Ring Magazine, okay, the Ring Magazine, the Bible of Boxing, and all, as well as the ESPN, the world leader in sports, already officially awarded the Fighter of the Year in favor to Naoya Inoue, the monster of Japan. Okay? Fighter of the Year 2023 goes to Naoya Inoue by the Ring Magazine and ESPN. Alright? But the pound for pound number 1 best fighter in the world, both Ring Magazine and ESPN, they gave it to Terence Bud Crawford. See? It's not because you are the pound for pound number 1 best fighter, it will automatically become a fighter of the year as well. It doesn't work like that. Based on what I gave you 3 examples earlier, the 1981 fight of Ray Leonard beating and KO and knocked out Hitman Hearns, and the other one, Salvador Sanchez stopping or beating or KOing, knockout Wilfredo Gomez. Not because they were the fighter of the year, not automatically become a pound for pound number 1 as well. Same with the 1993, the fight between Julio Cesar Chavez, undefeated, versus Pernell Whitaker, undefeated. The result was a draw. And in the contrast, it was Michael Carbajal versus Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. The pound for pound number 1 was not the fighter of the year awardee. Also the same with the year 2000. The pound for pound number 1, Shane Mosley, but the fighter of the year, they gave it to Felix Trinidad. Though the Erik Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera was also a candidate for the fighter of the year, and also the winner of that, and also the fight of the year that Barrera versus Morales won during the year 2000. So if we are going to compare it, those supremacy fights in boxing history, very in-depth, very detailed, okay, very detailed. in depth. Now we have learned that the conclusion is that even though a fighter become the number one pound for pound best in the world, pound for pound, not necessarily become the fighter of the year awardee. It very rare that a fighter become the number one pound for pound best fighter in the end of that year and also be awarded as the fighter of the year that end of the year. All right, so based on my observations, based on my analysis and evaluation on my studies in boxing, in boxing as a whole, in a fight and any combat sports, right? Any combat sports since 1970s, I would say that the main criteria is number of fights. That's one, okay? Number of fights, number of wins, and then number of fights, number of wins, and then how you win the fight. How, okay? How a fighter beat his opponent. And the fourth one, who did this fighter beat? Is that fighter also a pound for pound fighter? Is that fighter an elite? Is that fighter a Hall of Famer? Is that fighter a boxing legend? Is that fighter on his prime? Is that fighter on his peak of his prime? Not past prime? There. So, because of that, we have this in-depth discussion on pound for pound supremacy fights in boxing history. I wish I have shared you another good video, a wonderful video, in-depth explanation, in-depth analysis and evaluation on those boxing fights in history to have this supremacy for pound for pound greatness fights that we can compare, okay? This fighter A and this fighter B competing with his opponent, and this one competing with his opponent, and what they bring to the boxing community, to the boxing world. And in pound for pound supremacy fight, there should be 3 categories. That fight should have full of action, should have drama, and then the third one is historical significance. Historical significance. Okay? Those are the categories to, we can say that that fight for pound supremacy. Okay, again, action in the ring, action in the ring. Drama in the ring, drama. And the third one is historical significance. Okay? I can give you some of the fights that has big impact in the world, even it's only in combat sports like boxing. The bout between Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling, okay, before World War II. Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling, okay. What else? What is this? George Foreman versus John Lyle. Yeah, Ron Lyle, if I sound it correctly. Pardon me if I did not say it correctly. George Foreman versus Ron Lyle. So those are big boxing fights supremacy for that has produced historical significance. Even the during the September, after the September 11 attack, the Bernard Hopkins versus Felix Tito Trinidad for that middleweight undisputed championship. That was a historical significance because right after the September 11 attack, the Twin Towers attack, because they should have been fighting for that month, very month, first week of September, but due to that event, second week of September, uh, it should have been Mexican Independence Day, so second Sunday, I believe, of September, but because of that September 11 attack, they postponed that fight. And it is a huge boxing event, that 2001 fight between then undefeated middleweight champion Felix Tito Trinidad versus a unified middleweight champion Bernard the Executioner Hopkins. Alright, again, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, if not learned something about the supremacy fights, boxing supremacy pound for pound in history. Stay healthy, everyone. Be safe and enjoy with your family. Thank you again. Hua. Until next time.